Well, welcome everybody to the Tenpenny Files. I'm your host, Dr. Sherri Tenpenny. If you've been listening to this show for a while, you know that we cover a wide range of topics to solidify your beliefs, offer solutions, and to introduce you to amazing products through conversations with our authors and documentary filmmakers who challenge the mainstream narrative. My goal is to introduce you to topics you've never heard of or to topics you always wish you knew more about but didn't know where to start. Let the guests here on the Tenpenny Files show you the way through their books and their films. Join me here Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Tenpenny Files as we hear from voices who've been censored, silenced, and ignored, but truly have something important to say. We will begin today's episode by encourage everyone to becoming a Tenpenny Prime member. Tenpenny Prime is an educational opportunity for you to support our show. Go to primemembership.drtenpenny.com, primemembership.drtenpenny.com to learn more and hopefully support our work. And one last thing, a big shout out to all the new people that are finding our show and listening to us every day. And grateful for all of you who have been regular listeners for the last 6 years that we've been doing podcasts. We're really grateful for you and glad you're here. So now with that, let's get started. Today's conversation is with nutritionist, natural food chef, and four-time best-selling author, Liana Werner-Gray, author of The Truth About Seed Oils, How the Heart-Healthy Myth Made Us Sick, and How to Heal with Real Fats. Your roadmap to reclaiming vibrant health, one meal at a time. Liana, my friend, welcome so much to the Tenpenny Files. I'm glad we could finally connect, and thank you so much for being here. And congratulations on your new book, because we really need to know more about seed oils.
Yes, we do. People have been misled about seed oils for a long time. And thank you so much for having me on the legendary Sherri Tenpenny show. And I just love you, and we go way back, and just so grateful to know you and be a friend and be here on your new show.
Well, this is things we've been on this platform for about 6 months now. We've been doing podcasting for about 6 years, and so we're really growing and having such great people on our shows like yourself. So why don't we start with you telling us how seed oils became so widespread into modern diets, and how did they get their start being added to our food when most everyone is concerned about them?
Yeah, actually the history is appalling, and once people hear this, they're never going to want to eat seed oils again. Seed oils were never created for human consumption. They were actually created for the World War One way back, World War One, World War Two, to lubricant the machinery in the war machinery. And then they also use seed oils like vegetable oil for soaps as well. And so and soybean oil, vegetable oils, and then after the war, they had all this leftover seed oils, and they were like, what do we do with it? Well, because the government was already subsidizing it, it was massive crops. They said, let's put it into the food. And so they hired influencers at the time to show America how they could put it into the food. So they did a bunch of cookbooks with it, and they showed people you should be doing seed oils instead of doing grass-fed butter because it's heart healthy. And they built this entire thing around it saying that it was good for us, but it's not. And also, canola oil then came later, and canola oil you cannot even find in nature. God did not create canola oil. Canola oil was created in a lab. It's all genetically engineered. And so some people will see organic, non-GMO canola oil. And some restaurants will say, well, we use the highest quality non-GMO organic canola oil. It's not possible that that label is completely fraudulent on canola oil, because it's impossible for canola oil to be organic because it was created in a lab. It was never created from God in nature. And so God did not design our bodies to consume seed oils. And they create oxidative stress immediately in the brain. And, in my book, I talk about all of the dangers in it that it's linked to in terms of cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, and the oxidative stress is the biggest issue. There's even a study that we can get more into that Dr. Mark Hyman talks about, which is that it's connected to homicide. The oxidative stress in people's brain causes aggression in people, and the countries that consume more seed oils in specific areas have higher homicide rates. So it's really serious. And obviously, if people Google it, it says seed oils are fine, they're healthy. Stanford doctors and different doctors and experts say it's healthy and it's fine because this is a $500 billion industry, the seed oil industry. How much do we think that they're paying for publicity and marketing and to pay these top doctors and things to say that it's actually safe, but it's not. So, the history is thick, but I'm glad that people are going to learn about the truth in this book.
It's really shameful that they created an oil to be used in machines that when they had an excess of it, they ended up putting it in our food. It's like they didn't know where else to put it, so they put it in our food. You've shared in your other books, and you've also shared on presentations and podcasts where I've heard you. You've talked about your own health collapse and then your own health recovery. And then you learned about seed oils and you took them out of your diet. What sort of differences did you notice in your own health once you decided to remove these nasty oils from what you were eating?
Oh, my entire life changed. And I always say, like, the top two worst things that we consume are refined sugar and seed oils. There is a great debate, like Dr. Kate Shanahan and others say seed oils are number one worst, sugar's number two. I say, refined sugar is worse and then seed oils, but they're both really bad. And those were the two things that I cut from my diet. I was addicted to fast foods and junk foods, processed food. It was my drug of choice. I was a binge eater for 5 years. And I ended up with a golf ball sized tumor in my lymphatic system, 3.7 centimeters. Did a biopsy. It was early stages of cancer. They said it hadn't spread anywhere else, but that was a wake up call that I needed. I was also riddled with parasites. And so that was a wake up call for me to change my diet and go back to nature. And that was actually the first time that I prayed in my entire life. I was 21. I never prayed to God before that, wasn't raised knowing God or Jesus. And at 21, I was like, God, if you're real, like, I'm open to, like, help me. Like, just, I'm open to you. Like, help me, help me. And that's when God led me to create the Earth Diet. And within that, for 365 days, I created a blog called The Earth Diet. And the challenge was to eat only foods that came from nature for 365 days. And so this broke my addiction to fried foods, fast foods, because I would eat them every day. I would eat McDonald's for lunch, say Pizza Hut for dinner, or KFC for lunch, and chicken nuggets for dinner. Like every single meal was really toxic. And I had eaten so many seed oils and then when I was doing the blog and eating only foods from nature for 365 days, I went into research mode. And every day I blogged what I ate and I researched a different topic. So I came across seed oils back then, 17 years ago, went down the rabbit hole of canola oil, vegetable oils, which back then they weren't called seed oils. This is a new thing called seed oils, and some people can get confused, like what, because there are healthy seed oils and then they're very toxic seed oils. So we can talk about that, can clear that up too. But that was one of the main things I cut out was refined sugar and seed oils because when we eat from nature, we eat avocado oil and olive oil and coconut oil, tiger nut seed oil, macadamia nut seed oil, sesame seed oil. So I switched all my oils, and within 3 months, the golf ball sized tumor was completely dissolved. And it took a good year for my digestive system, everything, all the weight to come off for me to really have a transformed body and health. But after 3 months, I mean, I felt better the first day I was doing the Earth Diet. And then after a week, I'm like, wow, this is the best feeling ever. I can still eat chicken nuggets, chicken tenders, fries, but I'm going to cook them in coconut oil and avocado oil and olive oil. So I was having my cake and eating it too with cleaner oils, and my brain felt better. I was healing. Also, seed oils support an environment for parasites as well. So I just, my whole life changed when I cut out seed oils.
And why do you think that so many people are not aware of the potential danger of seed oils? I mean, it's been all over the news, and particularly since Bobby Kennedy's become secretary, and they've changed the food diagram and all these different things. That they and I maybe people don't know what seed oils are. What is the definition of a seed oil?
Yeah, so seed oil is a vegetable oil. So it can be vegetable oil, it can be canola oil. There's something called the Hateful Eight from Dr. Kate Shanahan, and it's cottonseed oil, safflower oil, peanut oil is on that list too. Soybean, vegetable, I said those. Yeah, so anything that's not olive, avocado, coconut oil, sesame seed oil, those are now in the category of seed oil. But if you see plant oil or vegetable oil, that is a seed oil. That's what it's being coined as these days. And so the reason why people don't know it's so toxic is because we had this old food pyramid for 70 years. And, this was a big part of the problem. Ansel Keys back in the day, he had made this discovery, which on his deathbed admitted that actually he was wrong, was that all these middle-aged men were dropping dead of heart attacks. And this was also the time that people were smoking cigarettes, but they never thought, oh, it was from the cigarettes. We're gonna say it's from the bad fats or the bad fats that they were coining, which was having butter and lard. So they said now do the seed oils because it's better, no saturated fat, it's better for your heart. And so they created this whole system based on this false findings from Ansel Keys, created the food pyramid, and just told everyone back then that seed oils, vegetable oils were safe, that they're heart healthy, that they will help lower your cholesterol. And people believed this for so long. Now Bobby Kennedy's come along and completely shattered that myth and has now created the new food pyramid. So people are starting to find out, but it's still in the mainstream news, and it's just been taught to people through their generation, through their grandparents, that canola oil is safe, seed oils are safe, when actually it's the opposite. They are very highly toxic, and they're linked to dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer, psoriasis, skin issues, acne, even depression, anxiety. We talked about homicide as well, and weight gain. Obviously, they help breed parasites. So yeah, and if you Google it, it's just a big machine that we're in. They protect their industry, but I'm here to expose the seed oil corruption and actually tell the people the real truth about seed oils.
Well, when I walk through a grocery store and I go down, I've told all my patients for years that you need to shop around the edges, which is where all the fruits and vegetables and meat and dairy and things are. And the only row that they're allowed to go down is the one that has toilet paper and laundry detergent. That's just because those are essentials and you have to get them from the rows somewhere. And sometimes I just walk down the other rows, just see what's there, and I'll pick up a package and I'll read the label and I'll put the package back on the shelf because I just feel like everything in the bright, shining packages, the marketing that they've designed for their packaging is really just poison ready to pounce. When you eat a seed oil, when you eat like chips or you eat different, particularly chips, or which are kind of the go-to for everybody. And it's made with safflower oil or it's made with vegetable oil. What does that oil actually do inside of your body?
Well, it creates instant inflammation. Instant. So people will feel bloated, people will feel sluggish. It creates oxidative stress in the brain, which is the biggest problem. And that can create brain fog. And then if someone eats a seed oil once every now and then, it's not going to kill them. It's probably not going to harm them. But if someone's eating a seed oil every single day or every other day or on a weekly basis, that's when it builds up in this body and accumulates. So people can experience sluggishness, and I don't recommend trying this at home, but if people really want to know for themselves, do a week of eating only clean oils, right? Like olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, cut out all seed oils. Then the following week for 7 days, eat only seed oils every single day. And as I'm not recommending this, but after that experiment, you will 100% know that seed oils are so toxic. You will feel tired, sluggish. The brain was not designed to digest and process seed oils. We need to get back to God's design and how God wanted us to eat and how the body is designed to eat. So, yeah, it's a lot worse than people realize.
Well, when you do a seed oil binge, let's say, or you go on a weekend with somebody and you're out with a bunch of your friends or you're with family and you have a picnic and you have pizza and you have chips and you have hot dogs and
Mhm.
lots of ketchup on your hamburger and all these other things. And you just load up your body just with seed oils because you just do, and that's where you are. How long does it take for your body to process that and get it out of your body and get you back to maybe where you were before you went on that weekend binge?
Yeah, well, it's different for each person. It depends how much inflammation they have, and it depends on their metabolism, their digestion. Someone who's very healthy, who rarely has it, it could be out of their system within 24 to 48 hours, especially. And if someone does do that, then to help bring the body back, you definitely want to have green juice, celery juice with cucumber, lemon, ginger. That's going to get those seed oils out of the body, get those that omega-3 omega-6 ratio back in balance, and drink chlorophyll water as well. That will help balance it. Ginger tea, those things. So if anyone does go out and do that, then I always tell my clients that's how you come back. The quickest way to come back is with a big green juice or just chlorophyll in water. And yeah, I mean, for someone who's doing that all the time, then it can take a while for it to get out of their body. So and now we're living in the easiest time to be healthy. We have all these upgrades, and I talk about the upgrade system in my first book, The Earth Diet. It's if you want to have chips or whatever you want to have, I always tell my clients this, you can have everything now in a natural way that's not toxic. So we have chips that are cooked in avocado oil or even beef tallow. They are delicious, and no one will ever know that they're healthy. So that's really cool is when we can have our cake and eat it too, essentially. And like seed oils are in everything these days. Cakes, cookies, processed food, all processed foods have seed oils. And also now it's disguised as soy lecithin. So when you see soy lecithin on a label, it could be soy lecithin or it could be it most likely is a seed oil mixed with the lecithin, as in a soybean oil. So they're finding really sneaky ways to put it in, but the gist of it all is go back to nature, eat real foods, whole foods that come from nature. But people have this chemical addiction or this cellular memory to processed foods like I had. And so we want to eat things that are enjoyable, like gummy bears or cookies, cakes, burgers, fries. And so the earth diet is a way to be able to eat them in a natural way. So you don't feel deprived, you're enjoying yourself as a human being while you're here on earth and you're not feeling deprived, but you're still having things like fries and things like that. But for example, like if I go to a restaurant and it's seed oils, I don't have the fries. I have discipline in that way and I say, okay, well, I'm craving fries now. So tomorrow I'm going to make some at home, or I'm going to wait till I go to the Fern, for example, in Palm Beach that cook their potatoes in beef tallow. So be very selective. It's just not worth it. But if you do it once in a while, yeah, then just bring yourself back with a green juice.
That's really, really helpful. I've had other people on the show and they've talked about ingredients, reading ingredient labels. And if anything has more than three ingredients, usually like, potato, salt, and pepper, it's just kind of like enough. If
Yep.
more than that, and it goes on, and there's a bunch of things on there that you can't pronounce and you don't know what they are, why would you eat that and put that in the body? The other side of that is why do they use those things in a packaged product and then call it food when they may have 12 different ingredients in it? Why are all those things in that packaged thing that they call food?
Yeah, well, it's just making money at the end of the day, and it shouldn't be cold food. A lot of the food that we see in the supermarkets is not actually food. So, it's fake food, it's dead food, it's Franken food, we call it. So, it's just a way for companies to make money. And I learned this with making a supplement. I have a supplement for anxiety, and when I was making it, the formulators were like, well, we could add this to it. We could add a filler to it. And I was like, why would we do that? I could add rice to it. And they're like, well, you're going to make a lot more money per bottle. And I was like, you know what? I don't care about that actually. Obviously, it's a business, I have to make money, but at the end of the day, I want my product to be fully just what people are paying for. 100% they're getting all of the ingredients from the supplement with nothing else. So it all just comes down to people just trying to make money, and we need to not support them. And we vote with our dollar. So, yeah.
So a lot of the ingredients also are like to prolong shelf life, correct?
Yes, that's true. Exactly. Yeah. Whenever we eat processed foods that, the shelf life is 2 years, we're like, it's not ideal. Yeah.
I was at Mike Adams' studio. This would have been about a year ago in June. I was out there. Had done some traveling and was in his studio, and he had a jar sitting on his shelf, and it was a hamburger from McDonald's, and it had a couple of little holes in the top, and it had been sitting there for 4 years, and it had not degraded. And so that it was just a very great visual of the things that they call food that aren't food. Will tell people that, the American Academy of Lifestyle Medicine, I really like their diet because anybody can do it. The first thing is eat real food. And so, things that come in a can or a jar, they hand you out a window is not real food, and eat mostly fruits and vegetables, eat organic, eat real quality meat, and don't eat so much, eat smaller portions. And so
Mhm.
that just makes it really straightforward because there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different diets on the market. I had a gal that used to work for me. This was quite a few years ago that I wanted to know how many different diets were out there. So she spent like 2 weeks going to like Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, and she stopped at 1,200
Hmm.
diets. And it was,
Wow.
wow, we don't need that. We just need, like Bobby Kennedy says, eat real food.
Hmm.
Oh, in your food, in your plan, in your book, the about the truth about seed oils, you have recipes and you have different suggestions for snacks. Before we go to the break, tell people about some recipes, simple recipes that they could do, or simple snacks that they can switch out from their seed oil junkie snacks to something that's more healthy.
Yeah, so I just opened to the recipe section here. So there's something for every type of eater. There's vegan and also meat eater, and there's a lot of snacks and desserts too. So my chocolate superfood bowls, those are the original first recipe I ever made when I was healing. And those are made with almond flour, cacao powder. You could add some almond butter or even peanut butter, and then a bit of MCT oil, some hemp seeds, make them superfood. All so delicious. A bit of sea salt. So those are a great go-to if people just need a quick little dose of magnesium, antioxidants to relieve stress. And then I've also got a recipe in here for my chicken bone broth soup, which is a process. It's a 3-hour process, but so worth it. Making a big batch. If anyone's getting any sinus issues or sniffles, you make that and drink that chicken bone broth, you're going to be healed instantly. It's so, it's very, very powerful, this recipe. It's also, we've got mini cashew cheesecakes in here, baked pasta. We have recipes with olive oil. We have homemade salad dressing recipes too. Save your money. Don't buy salad dressings. They're full of seed oils and also refined sugar and preservatives and crazy things like that. So you can make your own salad dressing. There's over 50 recipes in here. There's pancakes, there's salmon, there's creamy tomato soup, there's a quinoa salad, beet brownies, a macadamia nut salad, buttery popcorn, bulletproof coffee. Yeah, some really, really delicious recipes in here. We've got Dr. Jess's golden anti-inflammatory rice bowl with herby lemon chicken. Hopefully everyone's getting hungry by now.
I think that's true. The show it's right before dinner, so it airs at 3 p.m. Eastern. So, I hope this makes people makes their salivary glands start kicking in and start going. So it's really, really good. You mentioned salad dressings, and I think that is the number one culprit for seed oils that people don't realize how bad it is. When I first started learning about seed oils, a lot of it was from you and from other people that I was reading about. That was one of the first things I did as I came home and I threw all of my salad dressings out that I like. And I was going to donate them to the food bank. And I thought, why should I give poison to poor people to eat when it's not good for me to eat? No, I'm just going to dump it out and go get something else, or better, just make my own with, vinegar and olive oil. I had Dr. Patrick Porter from the Brain Tap tell me that if people just ate just a tablespoon of olive oil a day, not mixing it with anything else, but just a tablespoon of olive oil, or you could put it on your salad or on your vegetables, but really just a tablespoon of olive oil without heating it up, that it would decrease your risk of Alzheimer's by like 30%. It was huge just from that, just with that, putting that healthy oil in your body. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've seen studies on that, and I think that that's very true. And Dr. Gundry talks about that as well. And, I love taking shots of olive oil. Sometimes I feel like I just crave it. I feel like my brain is just needing fats, and I'll just go and take a swig of olive oil. So I think that's a great hack.
Do you make a difference between with ultrafine or fine olive oil, or how would you advise people to pick an olive oil to buy?
Yes, I just interviewed Evie from Co-Power Foods last week and from my channel for Instagram. And she was talking about how when we go to the supermarket, especially Costco, and buy olive oil, that they don't actually have to list it. That if you're buying cheap olive oil, it most likely is cut with vegetable oil and seed oils. There's no regulation that they have to say that on the label. So it's very important where we source good olive oil. So I love sourcing it from Co-Power Foods because she vets everything, Evie, and the olive oil she sources from California and from Italy, and she knows it's 100% olive oil. And you can do a test. You can put your olive oil in the fridge. If it sets hard, it is real olive oil. If it doesn't, if it stays liquid, it is seed oil or mixed with seed oil. You want to stay away from buying cheap olive oil. So very important where you're sourcing. And don't buy it from Spain as well. Just gonna call Spain out because they sold out a few years ago to Monsanto. And so 80% of the GMO foods in Europe come from Spain. People don't realize that. People think, oh, Spain's so healthy, Mediterranean. No, it's not. It's contaminated. And now all of their crops are contaminated. So stay away from any olive oil that says Spain. And actually, some Italian brands will source it from Spain, but say it's Italian olive oil. So you really want to know the brands. But this is why on my website, I vet brands. I personally know them, certain brands. I've been doing this 17 years. I like to meet the farmers, the owners. And so, yeah, everything's heavily vetted.
Wow, and that's a really good test that everybody can do just really easily. Put your olive oil in the freezer and see what happens. Another thing that I was advised was to only buy olive oil in glass bottles, not in plastic bottles, and that's
Always.
a better thing to do too. So I think this is a good place. Just hold that thought, Leanna. Hold that thought. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors for AmericaOutloud.news. America Out Loud Radio plays the Tenpenny Files on iHeartRadio Network daily, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern. And if you've missed any of these great conversations, and boy, we've had a lot of them, you can find them if you put the Tenpenny Files into Spotify, Pandora, Apple, iTunes, TuneIn, iHeart Virtual Studios, and you can find them on my platforms. Particularly, my favorite places to send people is drtenpenny.com. You can hover over the podcast tab, and a drop-down window will show you all podcasts. Maybe we made it really easy, so you can go there and listen to all the podcasts. You can see the little write-up about them. You can find out a little bit more information about that. We also post them on our Substack. We post them on X, Instagram, Rumble, and now on we set up a YouTube channel. So we'll see how long YouTube lets us stay up there because every time we've started a YouTube channel, they have completely just wiped us out. So go out there and like it and follow things there. Maybe we can send YouTube a message that I'm not so toxic and I deserve to have a place on their platform. So this show is meant to maximize your time and jumpstart your interest. So we've got a great message coming up from our sponsors. Please take a listen to them. Sit tight. We will be right back with more with Liana Werner-Gray and her new book, The Truth About Seed Oils, How the Heart Healthy Myth Has Made Us Sick, and How to Heal with Real Fats. Sit tight. We will be right back. Zeolite is a detox spray. We work specifically with a company called Touchstone Essentials. They are an incredible company. We've been working with them now for several years. And zeolite is a mineral that goes through your body like a one-way basket. It will clean out heavy metals such as arsenic and mercury, aluminum, cadmium, and it hooks onto those metals from a one-way perspective. So once it's bound, it goes out through your urine or your stools and doesn't get redeposited in other places. Everybody needs to have a detox product in their life, and this one is so easy to use and it's so safe. You can take it when you're pregnant, you can take it when you're nursing, you can give it to little children, you can even give it to infants, and quite frankly, I give it to my dog. I actually put a little bit of the zeolite in his water because until we all stop living in a toxic world, we all need to get some of those extra toxicities out, the heavy metals, the persistent organic pollutants, the things that are floating through the air, the different things that we come in touch with in our environment. And we are a big fan of zeolite from Touchstone Essentials. We've been a big fan of their products for several years. Go to drtenpenny.com/detox to get your first bottle of zeolite spray for $50 off.
Well, only when the government bows to the people will America become great again. This is Malcolm Out Loud here. Join me in pushing back against censorship, my fellow Americans. Right at the top of AmericaOutloud.news are the words: many voices, one freedom, united in the First Amendment. Now is our time, my fellow Americans. AmericaOutloud.news, liberty and justice for all.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Today's conversation is with nutritionist, natural food chef, and four-time best-selling author, Liana Werner-Gray, with her new book, The Truth About Seed Oils, How the Heart-Healthy Myth Made Us Sick, and How to Heal with Real Fats. And we can do that one meal at a time. Let me tell you a little bit more about today's guest. Liana Werner-Gray is a certified nutritionist and a four-time best-selling author. Her book, Cancer Free with Food, is one of the top 100 cancer books of all time. She's appeared on many mainstream media, television shows, radio broadcasts, and podcasts. After overcoming various health issues on her own, including a golf ball-sized tumor, digestive issues, chronic fatigue, through nutrition, faith, and believing food is medicine, she founded Liana's Organics, a supplement line for anxiety. Born and raised in the Australian outback, Liana has been a dual citizen in America and my friend for a long time, since about 2010. Liana, welcome so much to the show today, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Sherri. Thank you for having me. And I remember the first time we met, I was blown away. I was at an event. We were speaking at an event with Dr. Buttar. Dr. Buttar was there. And I remember listening to you, and it was the first time I'd really learned about vaccines. And I was always wondering about it. And being just naturally inclined, I figured, they weren't good. But you just confirmed everything for me and just blew me away. And I went up to you and I gave you the biggest hug after. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, I love you. I'm so grateful for you. And then we've been friends ever since that day. It was so special.
That's great. Well, thank you for that little endorsement. You said in your book, The Truth About Seed Oils, that food is more than just physical nourishment. And I know you personally well enough and how important spirituality is to your life and your message and your healing. How does removing processed oils affect both emotional and spiritual healing?
Yeah, well, sick people, we've all heard this, sick people have just one goal, right? To get better. And seed oils just make us feel terrible. And they are linked to depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's, dementia. So we know that they affect the brain. We know that they affect our emotions. And so removing them, we just feel so much better, so much stronger. And also when we are sick and just bogged down and weighed down, it does affect our relationship with God. Because well, unless people press into God and like really dependent on Him for help, but we're not able to live our purpose and be able to serve as well if we're emotionally not well, physically not well, spiritually not well. So for me, when I was sick, I was just consumed with getting well. And also when I was binge eating on junk food, I was consumed with the addiction because these foods are highly addictive. Fast foods, those fats are highly addictive. And so it's everything really. And I was craving fried foods, fast foods every single day, and I would eat them every single day. And so we need healthy fats. If we deprive ourselves of healthy fats, we will crave the bad fats. So and I started nourishing my body with all the good healthy fats, the good healthy oils, eating things like avocado, walnuts, grass-fed beef, wild salmon. I stopped craving fast foods and I was like, wow, I'm not craving them at all. For that year, that every single day that I did the earth diet, that I ate from nature, I didn't even think about fast foods. I was so nourished with the good healthy fats.
Interesting. That's really interesting. How does your spirituality play into good food and healthy fats?
Well, I've submitted my will to the Lord, to the best that I can, and always every day doing that. And in that, I've learned that God designed our bodies to eat certain foods. And, I just love diving into the Bible. I have the Word of God right here. And it's just all laid out for us how to eat, what not to eat. And we know that what Jesus would have eaten. We know that when we study the scriptures, and it was all healthy fats, and olive oil was a big part of their diet, one of the top 10 biblical foods. So we know that they were eating healthy fats all the way back then, and things like fish and lamb as well. We know that. So it just goes back thousands of years, and it's what worked. And so when we submit our will to God and we say, okay, God, my body's a temple for the Holy Spirit. What do you want me to eat today? God wants us to eat healthy fats every single day, and not those foods that are created by man. But also the enemy, the devil you know, he is running rampant right now on earth and contaminating everything, the water, the food, the air, and forcing vaccines on people and all of that, to contaminate people's bodies. And so when we eat foods that God created for us, we are in alignment with that, and our bodies can host the Holy Spirit. And we need to stop eating foods that come from the enemy, because that's what the enemy wants. The enemy wants you to eat seed oils and all of that toxic stuff every single day, because it cuts people's life short. People are cutting their life short. The Bible says that we can live for 120 years. The people living for 60 years, 80 years, 90 years, and they're cutting their life short. They're not able to live out their full purpose that God has destined for them, because they are consumed with health problems. So this is a problem. And I lived with chronic health issues for 5 years, which for some people seems very short because they've lived with chronic health issues for a lot longer. But that 5 years was living hell for me. And I remember it. I remember how it felt. And so, now lining up with eating God's foods, life is completely different. So that's just my hope for everyone, is that they would do the same thing and experience that. But there is a detox that needs to happen with most people when they're coming from processed foods or eating foods from the enemy. Coming back to in alignment with eating God's foods, there usually is a detox, and it's really tough, usually the first year, but after that, it's smooth sailing. But most people give up and they don't stick to it for a year.
That's true. That's true. Well, what are some surprising foods that people may think are health foods that they may not realize that seed oils are hiding in those foods?
Yeah, well, we talked about salad dressings, right? People go to a restaurant thinking they're eating healthy, having some salad dressing when it's actually really toxic with the seed oil and refined sugar. Protein bars, like Quest protein bars, people think that those are healthy. Those are a toxic bomb. Quest protein bars you want to stay away from. Like the original protein bar is grass-fed beef, or organic turkey, organic chicken, just pure protein, like Nick Sticks, for example, that is just pure meat, no nitrates, no nitrites, and Redmond salt with some seasoning. That's it, with oregano, garlic. Delicious, pure protein, no seed oils, really healthy fats. So things like that. Crackers, a lot of crackers have seed oils as well. People think that they're healthy, but crackers usually have wheat and seed oils. So you want to stick to healthier crackers like Top Seeds. If anyone loves crackers, Top Seeds are out of this world. The texture consistency is incredible, and they use olive oil. So those are great. And then, yeah, I have a whole list in here too of healthy fats versus unhealthy fats, unhealthy oils. I also have a list of all the areas where people will find seed oils. And yeah, so obviously restaurants, 99.9% of restaurants use seed oils. There is an app called Seed Oil Scout, which you can type in your area and it will show you the restaurants that use seed oils versus the ones who don't. And if some are seed oil free, which is really helpful. Yeah.
That's really great. I mean, and say the name of that app again for the audience.
Seed Oil Scout.
Seed Oil Scout. Well, that's easy to remember. We should be able to remember that. There are good oils like flaxseed oil and black cumin seed oil, and hemp seed oil, pumpkin seed oil, sesame seed oil that you have listed in your book about the truth about seed oils. Why are they considered good as opposed to the other ones considered bad?
Yeah, well, because they go through a different process and also they're created by God. So the one like canola oil, for example, is completely man-made, as we talked about. And the way that they process it, they pump chemicals into it and it's highly heated. So take sunflower seeds, for example. Sunflower seeds are a true gift from God. They have a good ratio of omega-3s versus omega-6s, a lot of magnesium, iron. They're excellent. And also they grow like a weed too. They're very low maintenance. But when we can eat sunflower seed, we're getting the whole seed. It's the whole food experience. And it's really good for our brain, digestive system. Science backs that up. But then when we take a sunflower seed and they heat process it into an oil, even if it's organic and they're not using all the chemical extraction process, it still has gone through a crazy process. Now the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio is different, and that's why sunflower seed oil is actually bad for us. But sunflower seeds are really good for us. Sunflower seed butter, if you just take the sunflower seed and crush it, it's still good because it has all the fiber and the process is different to the sunflower seed oil. So it's always in the process. So I always tell people you always want to think when you have a food about to go into your mouth, think, what did this food go through? What kind of process did it go through from God and nature to get to my hand and about to enter my body? What process was that? And we know in the process if it's healthy and wholesome or if it's not.
Wow, that's a really good rule to go by too, how did it get here? What did
How
it
did it get here? Yeah. And something like flaxseed oil or black cumin seed oil, chia
Mhm.
seed oil, those oils are those are seed oils, but the process they're cold pressed. So nutrients are intact. There's no chemical extraction. And so those oils are actually really beneficial for us and really good. They went through a good process.
So, other than throwing out all of your toxic salad dressings, which I encourage everyone to do, and I'll
Hmm.
tell you, it's really hard when if you walk down that aisle and you see all those packaged salad dressings sitting on the shelf, it's really hard to not buy them because they just sound good and it sounds like something that you would want to have. But you can take that same recipe and make it for yourself at home with the same sort of ingredients in it without having all the seed oils. So, other than just throwing away all of your toxic salad dressings, what other steps can people take? Some immediate steps that they can take to start eliminating seed oils out of their cupboard and replacing them with something more healthy in their diet.
Yeah, so the staples for sure, olive oil and avocado oil and coconut oil. So those are great to replace with. If you're looking for salad dressings, Primal Kitchen are amazing. They have organic avocado oil and olive oil based salad dressings with seasonings, just straight up Greek, Italian, so delicious. They have all kinds of sauces and marinades too. So that's a good staple I recommend to all of my clients to have because if you can really spruce up a salad with those salad dressings, or you could do make some chicken wings, buffalo chicken wings, and all of that. So that's a really good one to replace with. And yeah, you can get creative, but there are so many great brands as well that are out there. And I talk a lot about that on my channel too. I vet the brands. I do a lot of recipe development too. So you can either make your own, and then there is a brand to replace everything. So you don't have to worry about that. There is something to replace everything that you think that you will miss. That's really healthy and wholesome, but so delicious as well.
When you were doing the research for this book to write it, because you've written other books before, when you're doing this research, was there anything that you discovered along the way that was just kind of really surprising to you? Something that you didn't know about that you put into this book?
Yeah, well, the most disturbing study was the homicide study, which I was completely mind blown about, and it's something I think that we need to bring into the conversation more and talk about more is, 5 Western countries they studied, including Australia, the UK, and America, was where people were consuming seed oils. They have higher homicide rates. So that to me is shocking. That in itself, and that should speak to a lot of mothers too, to tell, especially their sons and daughters that are at college, like, you've got to stay away from seed oils because it can cause anger and can cause aggression. So I was really shocked about that. Also, I was just shocked about the Ansel Keys discovery, the discovery that they built this whole system on, this whole nutritional system. They built the food pyramid based on these false findings, and people bought into it. And it just goes to show that people need to question everything and bring it to God and test it with the Spirit, because for 70 years, people believed this food pyramid and believed that seed oils were good for them. That just is so shocking to me. People need to think more critically, obviously. So, yeah. And also, I was just blown away with, I went down the rabbit hole of like, what is seed oils linked to? And I was just blown away. It's linked to every single health issue that people are facing, every single health issue, you know, from sluggishness, weight gain, obesity, cancer, dementia, Alzheimer's. Was just shocked. And I was shocked how much science there was. And like all my books, the publisher came back and was like, we need to cut this book in half because it's just too much science. There's so much science, which is fine because now I have all this bonus material. And I just like to extract all of it. And also, we're coming up against a $500 billion industry. So I wanted to pull all the science, but I was shocked how much science there actually is, on PubMed and things like that, that show that seed oils are causing so many things, including anxiety. And a lot of people have anxiety these days, and omega-3 deficiency is a massive driver to why people have anxiety. It's why I had anxiety all those years ago. A blood test revealed I was deficient in omega-3 fatty acids. So when people eat the right healthy fats and they cut out the seed oils, they're cutting out those omega-6s, majority of them, their brain is improving, and people are noticing their anxiety is being healed just from switching the oils. I was also really just shocked to see the real cost of seed oils and just how it's not worth it. We talked about it's linked to oxidative stress in the brain immediately, inflammation immediately. It's the worst for the skin. Ladies, hair, skin, and nails, it's the worst for that. It contributes to hair loss as well. It disrupts neurotransmitters, and we're living in some tough times right now. We need all the neurotransmitting function we can get. It damages our DNA, and also it disrupts dopamine signaling. We also need all the dopamine function that we can get during this day and age too. So I was just shocked to see how many people are just putting it into their body every single day and believing the lie that it's actually safe for us. And also, it does disrupt our endocannabinoid system. And when that's disrupted, the endocannabinoid system, when it's in harmony, it goes and it can heal anything that needs to be healed in the body, whether it's the hormones, the ovaries, the gut, the brain. When that's disrupted, it can't do its job and bring the body back to regulation and to heal the body. So it's very disruptive. I have a whole list here of saying the real cost of seed oils in here. Once everyone reads this book, they're never going to want to eat seed oils ever again.
Really great. Well, Anna, this has been a great conversation about, the launch of your new book, The Truth About Seed Oils. And I think that we've given it a good overview here. But why should people buy this book, read it, and have it in their personal library?
Well, not only will it show them the history of seed oils and how corrupt it is, and how, they have been lying to us, this $500 billion industry, it will show them the history, and also it just has amazing recipes, and people can follow these recipes. And I would recommend do it for 7 days, see how you feel, do a shot of olive oil, eat all of these incredible recipes, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, get all the healthy fats in, and you'll see your energy soar, your brain function, your cognitive function, your gut health, your digestion improve. So put it to practice. And it's also a very easy book. Like, look how thin it is. We made it short so people can read it in 2 days. And
That's
if people love science, you're going to also love this book too.
Well, that's perfect because it's like one-stop shopping. You learn about seed oils, you learn about the good oils, and you get recipes, and it's short. So it doesn't get any better than that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Deanna, thank you so much for being here with us today. It's a pleasure to see you. We're kind of like ships in a storm. We keep missing each other. When you're in DC, I'm not, and when you're in Florida, I'm not, and all these other things. So I'm sure our paths will cross again here one of these days. And thank you for writing this really informative book. And for people that want to get that book, you can go to bookstore.drtenpenny.com, which is the store that we've set up where we put all of the authors that we have on our show. All of our authors are there, bookstore.drtenpenny.com. So it's just one shop stopping from our side too, that you can look for all the great guests and all the books and works that they've done. So I want to thank all of everybody that's been here today and in the future. If you've watched this in the future, it's really an incredible source to put this book, The Truth About Seed Oils, in your book and put it to use. I would say keep it in your kitchen so that you can pull it out and you can read the snacks and read what are the good oils and start playing around with the recipes so you can learn how to cook better, eat better, and put these things into practice in your life. So I want to thank everybody who's joined us here today. It's been just a pleasure having Liana here with us. And so with that, I'll close out with one of my favorite verses from the Bible that I close all my podcasts with, whether it's live or pre-recorded, which is Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope, be patient in trouble, and be persistent in prayer, which, by the way, I've got a 3-set devotional series coming out based on that verse. The first book, Rejoice in Hope, is already out. Be Patient in Trouble is planned to be out around Mother's Day, and the Persistent in Prayer will be out this fall. So you can support me by getting those from our store too. So we want to say everybody to have a great rest of your day. We will see you here tomorrow or the next time on the 10 Penny Piles. Goodbye and God bless everybody.